As of today, it's been 4 years, 4 months, and 24 days since my initial injury. However, one significant event is it's been 1 year today since my amputation. So I wanted to kind of talk through that experience and what it's meant to me. When I first injured myself, I went through about 3 surgeries in a couple of weeks, and the doctor I had at the time told me that I needed to give up my profession, that I couldn't be in the military, right? That just crushed me. It was so unfortunate, and it took so much out of me. However, over the next year, I continued to push despite the limitations of my injury. And I just kind of sucked up the pain, found ways to adapt to the injury. After about a year, I started going to some other doctors to see if I can get somebody who might be able to try something a little different. Started talking about amputation, but nobody really had a solution. Everybody that I had spoke to basically didn't necessarily want to amputate because they didn't see it as truly necessary for me to be able to live my life. But nobody really took into consideration how much quality of life really means. The ability to just live your life by having a life that you actually enjoy are two different things. And that's something that I had expressed but was never given, I don't think was ever given a lot of weight for me to be able to make that consideration. Anyways, after about 2 years, the predictions of my initial doctor were correct. I had reached the limits of my injury, and I eventually failed a fitness exam. Right? And if you're in the military or ever been in the military, and you fail something like a fitness exam, it crushes all of your morale. I don't think there's anything more defeating than knowing that you can't just do the basic physical requirements to be in whatever service you're in. And it was a huge blow. However, it wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me. In fact, it ended up being one of the best things. In the end, it put me in touch with a doctor who was willing to work with me, understood the concept of quality of life, and had actually kind of been through a similar experience of his own. And so he could relate to where I was coming from. In the end, after about a year of being with that doctor, we decided to amputate, and he did. And the next day when I woke up was one of the best feelings I had in half a decade. It's been 1 year since that amputation and since I woke up after surgery. And so far, I've been able to run 3 miles in 24 minutes, pass all of the physical requirements that are required of my service, do things I haven't been able to do since I first injured myself 4 years, 4 months, and 24 days ago. Ultimately, there were hard times. There were days where I had no hope. At one point, I completely gave up, and I decided that I was just not going to, continue on with my desired career, and that I didn't have a choice. But that was only for a day, and I think that's key. You have 2 choices essentially. You can either choose to dwell on the sadness in the past, or you can get up, and you can do something. It doesn't matter, anything that's positive, just a step in the right direction. It may not be the full solution, but as long as it's a step in the right direction, it's something positive. And those things compound, they build on each other. And next thing you know, you're accomplishing things you never thought you could. I've never been the fastest, never been the smartest, never been the best leader. But I've never quit. And that's, I think, one of the biggest keys. Resiliency and the ability to come back and overcome failure builds moral character. And I think that's one of the greatest things that we can value in leadership. Ultimately, I hope that none of you ever allow somebody to tell you that there's something that you can't do.